yourself.
I am Sam Turvey. I'm the chairperson of Rethink New York City.
Thank you.
So, start again. The governor says that all we can expect at Penn Station is better and more escalators, more elevators, and high ceilings in the old facility, plus a very narrow skylight. Much has been made of public realm. MSG's trucks will still have access to the public realm. Much has been made of high ceilings, which are going to be very expensive to create. I would remind folks that the Port Authority bus terminal has high ceilings. That does not guarantee that you get a quality transit facility. We have had numerous partial fixes like this in the past. They never work. Somebody should do a report about how much money has been spent on them. Worse, we are told we need to level an entire fully functional neighborhood of mostly working and lower income residences and small businesses, which Steve Roth, Vornado, and his cronies have manipulatively tarred as blighted. And the ESD is carrying their water on this one. The state should be looking at moving Madison Square Garden and figuring out how to give us back a real train station. Instead, they want to euthanize the surrounding neighborhood. Is this the most equitable thing we can do at Penn Station? Equity, a big word in all our federal funding. The gateway tunnels should provide us with a much better result. They should provide us with a seismic opportunity to promote decongestion of one of the world's most congested metropolitan areas via through running. Balanced, equitable, and sustainable growth are the sine qua non of through running throughout the world, including in our own country. Gateway should enable us to implement through running, which would allow trains to travel through Manhattan to other centers of business activity in the region instead of languishing in rail yards or to return empty. Through running can be implemented in the envelope of the current Penn Station in Moynihan, going to something you just said, Senator Kruger, and eliminate the need to demolish any buildings on 31st and 30th Street. Why is this opportunity being squandered? The commuter railroads and others, with no transparency and some of the most belligerent practices with respect to freedom of information requests, suggest that this is not feasible and that we wait until 2080 to implement such a solution. Their reasons are specious. I include a few highlights. First, they told us that implementing through running would be unduly cumbersome and expensive and not worth the investment. They said through running only works for multi-core cities like those in Europe. Note to all, New York is a multi-core city. Long Island City, Sunnyside, Queens are already well positioned to grow if through running is implemented. If Amazon or a like employer went to Queens, you would pray through running was in place. Jamaica, Port Morris, Yonkers, Newark, Patterson, airports, sports stadiums, numerous colleges and universities, and hospitals would all likewise benefit greatly. The MTA has suggested that our proposal would not increase capacity sufficiently to Penn Station to meet future demand, ignoring that if you really study their own numbers, they also will not meet future demand. The MTA's projected capacity increase for our plan came from a vendor that was assigned to review the Rethink proposal. That's not an independent evaluation. But even that conflicted vendor suggested that the capacity increase for both plans is similar. But there's a question that you need to ask. We actually think that we could provide more capacity than increasing to Penn South would do. But what they did was they didn't really evaluate our plan. They made material changes to our plans and then criticized us for the result of the material changes they universally made to our plans. So when it's suggested that there's no engineering reports that can support our plan, when they had their engineers look at it, it might have been nice if they actually looked at our plan instead of it manipulating it to suit their own purposes. Department of Transportation Secretary Buttigieg and Deputy Secretary Trottenberg need to commission a truly independent, competent review of our plan before Arup starts looking at a Penn expansion south. I think I read that Cohn Peterson Fox is going to be part of that process. They're hardly a neutral party. They may be building Penn 15 for Roth and Vornado, which is the signature part of the Vornado campus project. Follow the science. The MTA and others are not entitled to their own facts. Third, the MTA suggested that our proposal would be more expensive. This again is false, and by the way, where is their financial plan? I heard a lot of we're getting to it this morning. Through Reading can provide capacity similar to that of the Penn Station proposal at approximately half the cost. We estimate a cost of $9.75 billion based on their figures. Their figures from the NEC are $18 billion. Meanwhile, Andy Byford escaped across the pond and just opened a transformative through-running operation in London to broad international acclaim. Meanwhile, we had international travelers to a recent transit conference in Newark who, upon landing in JFK, could not believe the rigmarole of getting to Newark. 3 trains. Our commuters and reverse commuters go through worse every day. I just have 3 asks, and with your indulgence, I'll do them now instead of later. We need to withdraw or stay the GPP, likely for a year. We need to resolve the transit plan and the Fed funding. It's ridiculous to go forward when we don't have those answers. We need to resolve where Madison Square Garden is going to be located, and we need to really think long and hard about an above-ground station. The things that are being proposed, and when I hear the governor talk about what she's doing, you'd think she was rebuilding the old Penn Station. She should not be quoting Langston Hughes and talking about this underground hellhole that is going to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next,